right, kicking off another big hour here on the Steve Gruber Show. Glad you're here as we fight for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day in the heart of America. Look, somebody's got to fight for this country. I do it every single day, and I do it with your help. Thank you for being part of this movement. I truly appreciate it. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Doge lawmakers look to defund Biden's anemic pace $3 billion EV postal truck boondoggle. That's right. They want to make your mail carrier drive an electric truck. It's a disaster. Number two, Detroit is going to create climate disaster task force, claiming minorities are more impacted by climate change than anybody else. Do you smell con job? And number three, from the Annals of Michigan News Source, Michigan schools to parents. Transparency? Sure. How about $1 million or more? This is a remarkable article by J.P. Isbell. Michigan News Source is my news company, and you have to hear this. Michigan may be known for its Great Lakes, but it's also home to plenty of secrets, she writes. And if Michiganders want to uncover what their government and school systems are keeping under wraps, they have to file a FOIA request. That's a Freedom of Information Act request. No big deal. The Freedom of Information Act is supposed to be a shiny beacon of governmental accountability. But lately, it's looking more like a toll booth with a broken meter, writes Isbell. School districts and government bodies across the state are slapping astronomical fees on FOIA requests, ensuring that the only thing citizens get is a lighter wallet or a lesson in futility. How about this one? Rochester Community Schools. Transparency there comes with a price tag, a big price tag. At the end of last year, Michigan News Source reported on Elizabeth Clare, a Detroit mom who had dared to ask for public access to public records about the district's diversity training and materials. She was quoted, "Sure, you can have that. The fee will be $33 million. I'm not making that up. $33 million. A fee so ridiculous it made international news. Claire isn't the first one to get a big bill from that school district, though. Before her, it was Jessica Opfer, a mom in the district, informed that she'd need to pay over $25 million for her FOIA request for records about the removal of a language arts curriculum. What a deal. Then there's St. Charles, Michigan. St. Charles, Michigan. Journalist Dave Bondi online reports that this school district is charging $60,000 for FOIA records regarding school fundraising expenses. And that's a bargain compared to Rochester schools, but still something the average parent or taxpayer is not going to pay. The $60,000. Look, this is stupid. And the district is justifying the cost they quoted to two parents by claiming it's the result of extensive work at $32 an hour. Let's do the math. That'd be 1,900 hours. Not counting, copy fees, of course. A full-time job for a year for a FOIA request. Meanwhile, the alleged missing football fundraising money they want to find out about, once safely in the school's coffers, has mysteriously vanished, much like the school's willingness to answer any questions at all. Last October, a Grand Valley State student filed a FOIA request seeking access to documents related to an ongoing investigation that he is involved in at the university. He was hit with an $84,000 demand. His mother stated the obvious about the exorbitant amount that they were trying to charge. She believes the school is overbilling in an effort to hide the records. No kidding. If you say, hey, we need $33 million, we'll get you that FOIA request, maybe you don't want the FOIA request filled. Oh, $84,000, Grand Valley. What do you say for yourselves? How about you just fill the FOIA request at no charge? Instead of making FOIA requests more accessible, Michigan schools seem to be perfecting the art of bureaucratic roadblocks. Parents only have a few options. Cough up a small fortune or a real fortune, or keep showing up to school board meetings and making officials sweat, which doesn't do much. They can also appeal the charges, but that rarely results in any sort of significant discount. With Michigan ranking among the worst in the nation for transparency laws, this battle isn't just about football funds. It's about whether parents have the right to know how the money is spent. And apparently the schools in Michigan don't think so. $60,000, $84,000, $25 million, $33 million. Congratulations to Rochester for being right at the top of the heap for the most outrageous possible thing. Most outrageous. Not surprising, Michigan got an F overall from the Center for Public Integrity in their integrity investigation, ranking them last among all 50 states. Last. getting an F in access to public information. The failing grade largely due to Michigan's lack of transparency in state government, a problem that has long frustrated residents and watchdog groups alike. Remember how Gretchen Whitmer said she would make this the most transparent government in Michigan history? Liar! Liar. Let me just say this, Governor, you lied. One key issue tied to state government is transparency, like I said. Whether those changes remain to be seen, in late January, the state Senate overwhelmingly passed a bill to change that. The legislation is now in the House, where it has been referred to the Committee on Government Operations. The process is this. Schools, state, and local governments can charge fees for labor based on the lowest paid qualified employee and expenses such as copies. However, when they actually do fulfill requests, they're also known to play games, sending duplicate documents, overwhelming requesters with excessive files, and providing unsearchable PDFs to make information harder to sift through. Michigan law allows agencies to require a good faith deposit for FOIA fees over $50, up to half the cost. That means if Rochester demands $33 million, you'd have to come up with $16.5 million just to get started. And after all that, you might end up with 650 heavily redacted pages revealing nothing useful. Delaying requests, another common tactic, is seen with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, MEDC, which was sued for repeatedly refusing to release FOIA documents. And what about those agencies that don't delay or hide records but erase them entirely? According to Law and Crime, the Republican National Committee sued the City of Detroit Department of Elections, accusing officials in Michigan's largest city of violating the Freedom of Information Act by deleting surveillance footage from a ballot drop box location, which, of course, it seems they did. Michigan's FOIA fees don't seem to be about covering costs. They fear about covering your ass. She didn't write that. I put that in. JP would have written that if she had known she could get away with it, but I'll put it in. $33 million. Write me a note. Tell me what you think about that. Anytime you want. Write me a note. FOIA request, $33 million. I'm going to send this off to one of my attorney friends, actually. I think he should see this. You know, because they're all about access and so forth. So here we go. It's going to go off. Boom. And boom. And there it goes. All right, Detroit to create a climate disaster task force. That makes me feel better about life. City of Detroit creating a climate and disaster recovery task force, saying that racially marginalized communities are more impacted by climate change. Apparently, it rains more in poor places than it does in wealthy places. The Detroit City Council will act on a resolution in its March 11th meeting that calls for the creation of the task force. Now, if climate change is responsible for big fires and so forth, then this doesn't apparently make sense in Southern California, now does it? Pacific Palisades and Malibu, those fancy houses getting burned up. Where's the climate disparity there? The rich people got burned to the ground. Uh-oh. Something's up. Something doesn't smell right. That's right, it doesn't. Coming up, we got Kathy Schmaltz, my colleague from years ago, will be joining me from the Michigan State House. I'll be right back.